How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another editing session. So today we're looking at this photo that I got from Bryce Canyon. I know last week we did a Bryce Canyon photo, but we're doing another one this week. So we've got this cool photo here of Thor's hammer, and this is going to be kind of an interesting photo. It looks like a lot of the clouds are kind of blown out, and it looks very flat, and it's not maybe the best lighting, but I think we're going to try and tweak this in a way that that can be pretty cool. So I'm starting off here in Lightroom, and I think we might keep it here in Lightroom for a portion of this. So we're definitely going to take it into Photoshop like we usually do, but we're going to start off in Lightroom right now. So first thing I want to do is just balance out my color temperatures. So I think we're pretty good right here. We don't need to do anything crazy. Maybe we'll actually cool it down just a tiny bit. So we're starting off at 5600 white balance, and I think we're gonna drop it to maybe about 5400. Tint. Let's see, where are we at? We're at 16. Maybe we'll drop it to 14. Looks pretty good. Let's look at our crop. I think we're honestly pretty good. I think that's pretty decent right there. Okay, so our main goal with this photo is just to breathe a little bit of life into it. Like it's pretty flat, and the colors really aren't great. The sky looks blown out, so we're gonna pull down that sky, bring out some of those colors in the rocks, and I think we get something pretty cool here. So let's first come down to our exposure. I'm gonna actually pull down my exposure altogether. Maybe something just like that. Maybe pull down the highlights a little bit. As you can see, there's a lot of detail still in that sky. So if we pull down the exposure quite a bit, you can see in all of the whites in the clouds, there's a lot of detail there. There's nothing really blown out. Actually, there's nothing blown out at all. So I think we'll keep our exposure right there. We'll be a little bit more focused on our sky in just a minute. We just want to do everything kind of globally right now, just to make sure everything's a little bit balanced. Bring up the shadows just a tinge, and I'm gonna pull my whites down just a little bit. Maybe bring the blacks up a tiny bit. We've got some dark spots here in the trees, and we're gonna keep those fairly dark, but we don't want to have them crushed. So I don't think we're really gonna mess with. Yeah, we're not gonna mess with clarity, texture, or dehaze right now. Vibrancy. We can pull the vibrancy up just a little bit. I think we'll stick that at 24, maybe 22. Okay, so now we've done our basic white balance, just kind of correcting the white balance of this photo and making sure all of our tones are really balanced. Mainly we're going off of our whites here, so the whites and the blues are kind of what I'm looking at. So if we go too warm on the whites, it looks kind of weird. Everything looks kind of orange and dingy, and we don't want that. If we go too blue, everything looks blue and cold, and that's not how it realistically looks. I'm gonna pull this back up to, we had it at 5398, or I think it was like 5394 before, but we're gonna stick it right there. And I think that looks good. So the blues are really good, a really good color, and I think that's good. We'll do a quick before and after, and I like how that's starting to look. Our tone curve, I don't know if we're really gonna mess with this too much. Add maybe a tiny bit of contrast. I don't know, that's fine right there, I think. Okay, let's see. I think I'm trying to decide if I want to do some selective color adjustments or if I want to come up and do some masking. And I think what I want to do is let's do color first. So our blue, I'm gonna come over to luminance. I'm gonna pull our blues down just a little bit. And this is gonna be a little bit more of a style thing than anything. I like having the blues in my sky a little bit darker. And then maybe gonna pull the saturation down just a tiny bit. Okay, I think it looks good. Let's see what our oranges do. Everything's very orange, so it's gonna be kind of interesting because we got to balance out these very saturated orange tones. Let's maybe add a little bit of saturation there. Let's see what happens when we do this. Just lifting the luminance a little bit. What do our yellows look like? We're not gonna mess with yellows pretty much at all. Greens. A little bit of green in the sky. That's interesting. I wonder if we need to come back and pull our tint back up to 16 a little bit. Obviously, there's no green in this scene, so we don't want to figure out where that, make sure that green's not being really prominent. So I'm just playing with the saturation here. There's really nothing. Maybe we pulled it out with that tint change. I actually am going to pull the green down a little bit though, because it's detecting something up here in the cloud, and I like it when it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to pull that green down, probably halfway, probably about 50, and then nothing really with purples. I'm going to pull my purple and magenta tint down, or the saturation down just a little bit. All right. I'm not going to mess with color grading right now. And I think that's looking pretty decent as far as color goes. Our color calibration tab. If you've never messed with the color calibration tab, I highly recommend it. It's kind of cool. You can get some cool effects. The calibration tab is really useful with fall photos, and this is being recorded during, the fall season. And well, when it releases, it'll be still fall season. So if you're editing fall photos, I highly recommend using the calibration tab. I don't know that we're going to use it too much because that looks silly. It actually looks it's almost like infrared. But that's not bad right there. Boosting the saturation of that blue just a little bit. If you don't know what the calibration is, it's essentially your calibration tab is looking at the individual pixels in your photo, and each individual pixel, no matter what color it's showing, is made up of a bunch of different colors. So your calibration tab is looking at those pixels, and it's toning down or affecting, whatever the selected color is within those pixels. So our blue primary, we're bumping up all the blues in, the pixels, even the ones that are showing orange, the ones that are showing green, red, anything. So it's kind of a neat little tool, and you can get some pretty cool effects with it. So I don't want to do that because that makes my eyeballs bleed. I think that's pretty good right there. Okay. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of masking here. So I'm gonna take a radial gradient. Now my focus, and this is one thing that I always try to do on photos when I'm first starting to edit them, is I want to determine what my subject is. And my subject for this one is Thor's hammer here. So I want to be able to tastefully highlight Thor's hammer, so that when the viewer is looking at the image, their eye is guided to the hammer. So, but we don't want to do that where it's very, very noticeable. We want to do it very subtly. Like we don't want to do a big dark vignette around it. That just doesn't look good. So I'm going to pull open a radial mask here, and let's see. We'll do a few radial masks. So we're doing it right there. I'm going to bump the whites just a tiny bit. I'm going to do another radial mask. I'm going to zoom out just so I can get a good picture of where this is applying. I'm going to pull my feather in, invert it, and I want this to mainly affect this bottom area right here. So we have this bottom area affected, and we're going to come up here and actually delete out and brush out the selection that we have in the sky. I'm going to subtract. I'm going to hit my brush. Okay, so we have our brush selected. Let's keep our flow at 100, feather at 100, and then I'm just going to erase everything that's in the sky. Let's make that brush a little bit bigger. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, we'll click on our radial gradient again. Pull it down a little bit. I think it's pretty good right there. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to select my sky. So I'm going to create new mask, select sky. And let's see, is it going to show it? Okay, we got a pretty good selection there. I'm going to tone that temperature back just a little bit more. Maybe -5. There, I like that. I'm going to pull down blacks, maybe? No, not quite. Lights a little bit. I don't know, I think that's pretty good right there. I'm going to do another mask where I select the sky. This is something that I like to do. If you've never used this feature in Lightroom, highly recommend it, but I'm going to select my sky, and then I'm going to hit the intersect mask feature. So basically I can create one selection and then I can create another selection within that. So it just increases the targeting capabilities of my masks. So intersect mask, and then I'm going to hit radial gradient. So now I'm going to create a slight vignette in the sky. Zoom out. I'm going to invert that. Maybe oh, there it is. Invert that. I'm going to show my overlay so I can see what I'm doing. All right, pull this down. Bring that feather in just a little bit more. Okay, I think that's what I want to do. Okay, so, what happened? Oh, you know what? I let go of my selection. Okay. I'm going to adjust that again. And I'm going to just hit my whites. All right. That's cool. I like that. Okay, so now what I want to do, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to do a little object selection here. I'm going to see if I can get a good selection on Thor's hammer. So if you've never used the object selection, basically you are, it gives you the ability just to highlight an object. You don't have to be very rough or selective with it. I'm just going to highlight the top of Thor's hammer here, and let's see if it's pretty accurate. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Okay, so now what I want to do is just raise the whites just a tiny bit. You know what? This might actually be easier to do in Photoshop. So I think we're going to leave this here in Lightroom. It's a pretty good starting point. And we're going to take this over to Photoshop. So I'm going to hit Command E. And we'll give this just a second to boot up in Photoshop. There we go. Okay, so we have our base layer here, background layer. I'm gonna hit Command J. I like to always have a duplicate. Make sure I leave a background layer just so I have a good starting point in case I need to delete everything back to my background layer. So we've duplicated it, have our layer here. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to, a lot of times I'll make it a selection on the sky, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're just going to do some dodging and burning. So basically what I want to do is, let's think about what's going on in our image, where the light's coming from. The light is coming from up in this left hand side of the screen, and you can't actually see the light source. Obviously it's the sun, but it's coming from the left side of the screen, or the image, and it's coming down and it's highlighting the left side of all of these little hoodoos. So we're going to accentuate that light on a few of these little hoodoos. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my new layer, and I'm going to hit my blend mode, come down to overlay. If I'm doing highlights, I like to keep my blend mode on overlay. Make sure I have my brush selected. We're going to select this warm tone here. Yeah, I like that. Make sure our opacity is not at 100%. I'm going to drop it to about 18. That works great. 17, that's perfect. And drop my hardness down to 0. Let's do a luminosity mask. And we're going to try to, I actually don't think I want, do I? Oh my gosh, I might have to actually, you know what? Let's do this. I am gonna select the sky. So we're gonna create another layer, come up to select and sky. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to select a luminosity mask that hits my highlights and lighter midtones. But if I do that without pulling the sky or doing it on a layer that doesn't include the sky, I am just going to select everything in the sky, and when I paint over stuff, it's going to paint into the sky, and I don't want to do that. So I need to get rid of the sky from the layer that I'm going to do my dodging and burning on. So we have our sky selected. I'm going to come up to select and mask. Now it's going to actually apply the mask, and give it just a second. Come down here, layer mask. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to create another layer. Make sure we do that under that foreground layer. And we're going to hit the little arrow button that just sticks our layer to this bottom layer. Okay, blend mode, overlay. Make sure we have our brush selected. Everything looks good. Apply our luminosity mask. I'm gonna do a lights. I'm gonna do lights 1. Okay, so we have lights 1 selected. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm just going to, whoops, that's smaller. I'm going to start hitting some of these lighter spots on the left side of these hoodoos. As you can see, with just a little bit of brushing, it's already a little bit of a difference. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now what I'm gonna do is make another layer, and we're gonna do a burn layer that contrasts with those lighter spots that we burned up. Again, we're gonna attach that to another luminosity mask, and we're gonna do a darks one. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna hit a lot of our darker tones, darker mid-tones, make sure our brush has the black selected. We'll come down here, and I'm gonna start hitting this area right here. Again, we're just focusing on shadow regions. We don't wanna do anything that doesn't look natural. And the whole point of this is to kind of accentuate just a little bit Thor's hammer right here in the middle. So you can see if we do a before and an after, we're just trying to darken down this area just right here. We're gonna go through and hit a couple more spots as well. Mainly all of our shadow spots in this photo. All right, so now I'm gonna do a before and after on both of those layers. As you can see, we just made that tower pop just a little bit. Again, without making it look unnatural. So I like that, I think it looks pretty cool. Let's see, what else do we wanna do here? I'm trying to figure out a way that we can create a little bit more depth in this image. And maybe one way that we could do that is, let's do a adjustment or a levels adjustment. Again, we're gonna connect that. Bring that down just a little bit. Yeah, maybe. It's not too bad. Nope. I don't hate that. I'm gonna create another layer, and we're going to, let's actually keep this one unattached. We'll throw it to the top of our stack here, and keep it on a normal blend mode. And I'm just going to kind of fade out our background here. Very, very slightly. That looks fine. Not bad. I am going to do a little bit of a burn layer on some of the clouds. Very, very subtle. You want to be very careful when doing this to clouds. And we'll do soft light. Make sure we have our black selected. I am going to do a luminosity mask. We'll do our darks. And I'm just gonna hit right here on the underside of this cloud. Very subtle, very, very subtle. Maybe hit some of these other darker areas as well. Cool. That's pretty neat. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna combine all of our layers. So I'm gonna hit this bottom layer, layer 1. And if you know me, you know that I'm not very good at labeling things. I'm gonna hit my ground layer and then hold down shift, click everything, and I'm gonna hit Command Option Shift E to make everything into one combined layer. I'm gonna pull this into Camera Raw Filter, and I'm just gonna do another little radial mask here. Let's see. I'm gonna zoom out. Can I have my brush back? There we go. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna invert that mask. I'm just gonna drop my exposure just a little bit more of a vignette. So let's bring this back up, make it big. We'll do before, after, before, after. Then we'll do one more right here. And I know we already did this in Lightroom, but we're just doing it again, just to accentuate it just a little bit more. Actually, on this one, I'm going to, what do I want to do? I'm going to pull out the sky. So I'm going to hit my radial mask here, hit subtract, hit select sky. Basically, this is just going to take my radial mask and pull the sky out of that selection. And then let's bring up our whites. Maybe we'll warm it up just a little bit. I think it's cool. I think it's good. Let's see here. Let's do a sky selection. And this might be a little redundant, but I'm going to add radial gradient. I'm going to add a, what do I want to do here? Let's see. No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to add. I'm going to delete this. And let's just try this. Basically, I just want to put a little bit more white into the clouds. So I'm going to scroll down, hit my whites. I don't know if I like that. I actually don't like that at all. So delete that mask. Delete the mask. Hello. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think that's good. So we'll do a little before and after, before and after in Camera Raw. Hit OK. Okay, now I'm just going to Command J, duplicate that. I'm going to do a little ornament effect because I like doing ornament effects. And this was taken on the Canon R6. So this is going to be a 24 megapixel camera. And let's do image, adjustments, brightness, contrast. I'm going to jack the contrast up. Maybe the brightness tiny bit. Hit OK. Adjustments, color balance, warm tones. So we're just injecting a little bit of yellow into the midtones and highlights. Okay, then we'll do a luminosity mask, lights 1. Okay. We'll do soft light and drop that to about 30. I like to do about 35. 38's perfect, I think. So we'll do before, after, just a little tiny glowy bit of punch and color contrast. So yeah, that's cool. I really like this picture actually. I might come back down and tone down the oranges just a little bit when we bring it back into Lightroom. They're just looking a little nuclear to me, a little too warm maybe. Okay, we're going to make a combined layer of our new base layer and the ornament effect layer. So Command Option Shift E, and I'm going to do a high pass. Keep our high pass about 1.9. Actually, we'll probably drop this to 1.6. I like that. Make sure our blend mode is set to soft light. Okay. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't think there's anything we need to really remove. Everything looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna hit Command W, save, and we're just gonna pull this back over into Lightroom Classic. Okay, so we're back here in Lightroom Classic. Now I wanna come down to my selective color panel, my HSL panel, and I think I'm gonna pull the orange maybe a little bit on saturation. No. Maybe brighten up the luminance just a tiny bit. Usually when you pull the luminance up, it also kind of helps to desaturate things just a little bit. So that's just a little trick I like to sometimes use. doesn't really do anything. I don't know, I think that's fine. I mean, Bryce Canyon's super orange, so it's sometimes kind of tricky to work with, but I think it works well. So yeah, I like that. Last thing I'm gonna do is just a little tone curve. This is just something that I like to do at the end of all my photos, is I will come down here to the black section of the tone curve, and I will raise that up just a tiny bit, probably 4 or 5. Bring this section down, our shadows down again. Make sure our whites are just where they were before. Maybe bring this down a smidge more. No, I don't like that. Okay. I think that's kind of cool. Maybe, let's see here. I don't know, do we need to do any more sharpening? I don't think we need to do any more sharpening. It's already pretty sharp, so. One thing I do like to do when I finish a photo is just kind of look at it through the soft proofing panel. There's something about looking at a photo with a white border that just, I don't know, it gives it a little bit of a different look, and I like doing that. You don't have to, but it's just something that I like to do. I might actually, let's see, come out of soft proofing. You want to make sure you're not in soft proofing when you're making adjustments, because they don't actually apply to your photo. It applies to the soft proofing version of your photo. No, I don't want to boost the whites. I don't like what the whites are doing to the clouds back here when they're boosted. They make them just like, I don't know, look really fake. So, okay, so I think that's gonna do it. So let me know your thoughts on this photo. Let me know your thoughts on the editing, and let me know if you would have done it differently. Yeah, make sure you come back next Sunday, because we're gonna keep doing these. I've got a good one for next Sunday, so make sure you come back to watch that. I'm pretty excited about it. And Duke, the dog, is ready to leave, so I think that's time for me to go too. So make sure you subscribe, like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on this. And thanks again for watching. Really, really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye.